Hey, welcome back to JG3 Reviews. My name is James, and today we've got notebooks. Yes, this is the Emshoi set of notebooks. A set of notebooks, really affordable, and some really nice paper, a nice cover, that kind of thing. But there's always a question whenever I buy notebooks. How does it handle fountain pen ink? Because that's the main thing that I buy notebooks for. So I'm going to show you the results of my pen and ink test with these notebooks. I'll also show you how they perform with gel pens, because I do use those too, and some of you use those more than you use fountain pens. And paper can be finicky with those as well. And hopefully I can give you the information you need to decide whether or not this would be a good notebook for you. So let's spin that camera and get started. All right, here we have the Emshoi notebook. Now this is the dotted version. You can also get it in lined. It is an A5 size, or 5.7 by 8.22, and 100 GSM paper. Now this is not a coated paper like Rhodia or Clairefontaine, so it is different from that, and we'll see that in the ink test. But it is a nice smooth writing paper, and it has a pleasing off-white color, very similar to the color of, say, Tomoe River paper, but it's not at all the same kind of paper as that. They do have book bound, but I got the spiral, and the spirals on all of these are color coded. If you had them on a shelf, you'd know which one you were looking at, even if you couldn't see those plastic covers. Seem to be pretty well put together. I've used this blue one since about February for various things and have had no issues whatsoever with the build or anything like that. It's traveled with me in my backpack. And as you can see, it's gotten a little bit of wear on that plastic that you would expect, but other than that, held up quite well. Now these do come with a set of stencils so that you can do your stencil-y things for those who like different things like that. This one's kind of more calendar and to-do list oriented. Those are in there. If you get the lined version of this, instead of those stencils, you get little tabs that you can put on the paper instead. Otherwise, as far as the design of the notebook, you just have the label here with the logo of an owl and a reminder that you are the possessor of dotted paper and 80 sheets of it. When we open it up, you get again that nice dot grid that looks like a lot of other nice dot grids, so you kind of know how that's going to work, right? Makes it easy to do what you want on the page, not confined by lines, and yet it's not total chaos like with a blank piece of paper. So some of you, this just, it's like an ink blot. It just ferrets out your personality just like that, doesn't it? Besides blue, the set is a nice natural looking foresty pineish green, a brick red terracotta sort of a red, and this gray, or as I like to call it, off black. And speaking of off, I have no coffee, just mint green tea because it's Texas and it's hot today. I think it's supposed to be 100 degrees. Glad I'm inside. Next, we'll look at how does the pen and ink test go. Okay, well, I've got several pens that I have inked up just around the deskage area here. And what I've got first is a Kaweco Sport with Kaweco Royal Blue, a Pilot with Blue Black, TWSBI. You can read all this, right? You can figure this out yourself. But I've got multiple colors of fountain pens. And then down here at the bottom, I do have a couple of gel pens that I had handy because I like to know how they perform in notebooks like this as well. If we flip that paper, we'll see. For one thing, I did have one little bleed through thing here, and that was where I did the actual square of ink, so that's a bit wetter than most things, and that was the Waringall Call of Cthulhu ink. Nice ink. It normally sheens, but I didn't get any sheen out of that ink on this paper. I did with the Scrivener blue. I used the EDC with a fine point there, and I don't know if the light here will pick it up, but there is light sheening there. Not as much as you can get out of that ink, but there is a little bit. Most inks performed well on this side of the page. I got just minimal feathering from Konpeki, which I kind of expected. It does that on uncoated cheaper papers fairly often. And then I got a little bit out of that Kaweco Royal Blue. Neither one was bad, and you might not even notice it if I didn't point it out, but that was it. Everything else performed fairly well, with some inks doing really quite well. There is ghosting from most but not all inks, as you can see. Now again, these are those ink samples. That's a lot of writing and it's wet, and then some of these inks I used because I know that they're prone to this. For example, 2 lines down, this would be from the TWSBI 580 with a stub nib, and that's Noodler's Turquoise, and it's going to go through cheap paper from time to time like that, and it writes fairly wet out of that pen. And then here, another TWSBI, but that's not actually related. It has to do with the inks. This is Ferris Wheel Press's Stroke of Midnight, and that's a glistening ink. It did have some ghosting, but no all the way through bleeding. But let me tell you, it did very well in letting that shimmering material do its job. So that shows up really well on this page, and it's not the only one. I also used Diamine Golden Sands, and take a look at that. See there, it really worked well. That one did also have some ghosting. So ghosting, you're not going to have perfect performance from this paper. You are going to have some ghosting, but bleed through, it was only the one ink out of all the ones I've used, and I've used several others on other pages doing work-related stuff, and that's been fine. And it's not so much ghosting most of the time that there's going to be a problem. For example, this is my sermon outline from last Sunday on the other side of this page, and you can see here that there's a little bit of ghosting, but there's no bleed through, and that was Pilot Blue Black in a fine Pilot Prera. So that performed just fine, and I would be able to use the second side of the page here, no problem, wouldn't bother me at all. Flipping back over here to those gel pens, this is a Pentel Energel with navy blue and a Zebra Sarasa. Not just a Sarasa, that's a Sarasa dry, so you know it dries faster. You would expect a little bit less problem with ghosting or bleed through, but both of those, and this is the mahogany color, by the way, I think I got this for $1 at a Dollar General. That's just kind of awesomeness in a small town. But on the other side, neither had any bleed through whatsoever, neither ghosted, except for maybe the points of the square, which is kind of funny, on that mahogany one. Performed very, very well. So gel pen friendly, and if that's what you write with, I would highly recommend these. Now, back when I first got this, I did do a trial run with the stencils, even though I don't normally use that sort of thing, and they work just fine. Nice little freebie if you're into that sort of thing. You know, that's just a bonus. Now, I'm probably going to sound funny, but I put my microphone right down here so you can kind of hear. This is a Wingsung 601 with a stock extra fine nib. Oops, that was me. And I love how this pen writes. This is one of my favorites. This is Liberty Elysium Blue. It's a Noodler's ink and a Goulet exclusive. And from what I understand, it's basically designed to be a cleaning-friendly version of Bay State Blue. And I really like it. It's not quite as electric as Bay State Blue, but it is a nice, bright, vibrant blue, and this pen, just one of my all-time favorites. It's always inked up and just a fun pen to write with. Anyway, as you could hear probably there, it is a nice smooth paper. There's maybe a little bit of audible feedback, but no real drag. On the day that I'm recording this, these are running about $18 on Amazon. That's where I got mine. That's actually $1 cheaper than I paid, which for 4 notebooks, 80 pages apiece, 100 GSM, fairly decent behaving paper, and certainly handy for just, general writing that is just, maybe you're doing creative things, maybe you're journaling, something like that. Really a good deal. So check those out. If you know about some other products like this that you would like to see me review, share those in the comments below. And God bless you. Have a good day.